Hello, so you're probably here because you're doing the Aristotelian Research Project Award and you want to know how you can use AI in your research project. So this video will cover how you can use AI and how you can use it responsibly and effectively. So why should I even bother using AI? And it all boils down to that AI is like a personal research assistant just for you. So it can help you work faster, it can help you make a better written essay, it can help you find more information online, and in general, it can just really elevate your project and save you time. So even if you're a bit unsure about whether or not you should try using AI, give it a shot and experiment with it and see if it's something that you'd like to use. Because if it isn't, you can always go back and not use AI at all. It's your choice. So some of the uses of AI in research that we'll cover are in initial research, in summarizing published papers, in writing general queries, and when it comes to your essay, how to plan it, how to write it, and giving you tailored feedback for your essay. So now let's look at examples of how you could use AI tools, or how I've used AI tools in my own research projects. The first tool is ChatGPT. It's good for a lot of things. For example, here I've pasted in one of the questions from this year's competition, and I've told ChatGPT that I'm a student participating in this competition, and I've asked it to help me get started. So if you're a bit confused on how you can get started, you've chosen a question but you're a bit confused, you can give ChatGPT a prompt that looks quite like this, and it can help you get started. So it'll give you a lot of information about the topic from a high level, and then it'll give you questions that can provoke you to think a bit more about specific things. So I've then told ChatGPT that I'm specifically interested in this aspect of the topic, and then it decides to give me a lot more information about that specific aspect. Again, trying to help me narrow down the specific thing that I want to cover in my essay. And then I've asked ChatGPT just a general question about one of the aspects of the essay, and here is replied with even more high-level information. And all of this can really help me get started with my essay and understand which path I want to explore further. And sometimes if ChatGPT gives you a really long response, or any AI tools do that too, then you can always ask it to rewrite its response so that it's more concise. And if you're a bit stuck on a certain concept and you try to use search engines, always use a search engine first, because Google and Bing, those will always be better for this type of thing, if you ever have a question. But if you can't find the answer to your question online, then it's worth trying to use AI tools like ChatGPT to write you an answer. So here, this is a question that I had during my research project last year, and I couldn't find a really simple and easy to understand answer online. So I just asked ChatGPT to give me one. So these two methods, they should really help you clarify your thoughts and help you understand how you want to get started with your research project. The second tool we'll look at is called Elicit AI, and this is really good for looking at specific research papers. So the first example is I've entered one of the questions from this year's competition again, and it's given me a summary of the top 4 papers with links to these papers. And on the left, you see it's giving me a table with a link to each of the papers, and on the right, it's giving me the summary of each of those papers. And so this way, it can really help you find a lot of the research papers that could be useful for your project. Because sometimes trying to go on a journal or trying to use Google Scholar right when you're starting out your project, it might be quite difficult because there are loads of results and you don't really know what you're looking for. So you can start off with this, and once you've figured out exactly what you want, you can find a couple of these papers, and then you can move on to looking at journals and databases to try and find a more specific paper. This is really good to get started, and you can even add more information for the AI to give you. And the second example of using this tool is when I'm asking it for a list of concepts of carbon capture in this case. So it's looked at a lot of papers and analyzed common themes between the papers. And so you can see on the left, it's found common concepts between papers, and it's told me what the concept is and given me a brief summary of it. And on the right, for each of the concepts, it's linked to a research paper that covered that concept and included a quote about where exactly it covered that concept. And so this is really useful, again, when you're getting started and you want to figure out what you should focus on, or if you really want to research one of these things in particular, this tool will help you find the papers that you need. And the third tool we'll look at is called Perplexity AI. This is very similar to Elicit, the one we just looked at. So an example is, again, I've pasted in one of the questions from this year's competition, and it's given me a nice summary of this entire topic. And it includes a few sources here. You can see, if I click these, it'll take me to different websites or medical journals about how I can continue researching this topic further. Okay, so let's say you've used these tools and you found some really good research papers, but you found a bit too many. You found 50, let's say, and you don't have time to read 50 research papers. So instead, what you can do is you can upload them to an AI tool like Perplexity and ask it to summarize the document. So in this case, I've got this research paper. It's all about physics, and I've uploaded it and I've asked Perplexity AI to tell me the key findings, the potential for future research, and the core theoretical concepts contained within the paper. And just like that, Perplexity AI will give you a really nice summary of everything that the paper covered, and it can help you decide whether you want to actually read the paper or whether your time is better spent reading other papers. And when it comes to writing the essay itself, I found ChatGPT is really useful here too. So these examples are from a project I did last year. So here I told ChatGPT I'm writing an essay that's this long, and I've given it my title and I've asked it to produce an essay plan. And here it produces an essay plan. But obviously ChatGPT is just going to tell me what it thinks, whereas I might want something a bit different. And so I can keep having this almost like a conversation with ChatGPT about this essay plan. So here I've asked ChatGPT to give me tips on writing a paper because I've never written a philosophy paper before. And then once I've clarified that in my mind, I then asked ChatGPT to expand on one of its sections in the essay plan. And just like that, you can keep talking to ChatGPT or to different AI tools, and the more you talk to it, the better the output it will be, and the more information you'll get. So this is a really useful tool. And the second example of me using ChatGPT in a research project is when I've already written the paper and I wanted to review it. So here I've told ChatGPT, again, I told it how long my essay is and what the title is, and I've asked it to rewrite my conclusion while still keeping the same information but making it a bit more enticing and a bit more snappy. So I've pasted in my conclusion here, and then I've asked ChatGPT to do that, and it's given me a rewritten version of the same thing I've just written. And that way, this can help you if you're a bit stuck, say, writing a nicer introduction. You can write an introduction that you like, give it to ChatGPT and ask it to tweak it very slightly to change it to reflect characteristics that you'd like to see in your own writing. And different examples, for example, I've used it here to rephrase a sentence. Hello, future me here. So what I just showed you, if you're working on the Year 9 Aristotelian Award, you're not allowed to use any AI tool to write or rewrite any part of your essay. So you can use what I just showed you in other projects. For this project, it's strictly prohibited. And if we find out that you have got an AI to write any part of your essay for you, then unfortunately your essay won't be considered. However, what you can do is, for example, you can provide a paragraph or a couple of paragraphs into ChatGPT or other AI tools and ask it to provide you feedback. So that's what I've done here. I've given ChatGPT this paragraph and it's given me a list of pros, cons, and areas for improvement. And so this way, I can still use AI tools to give me feedback on my essay, and I can try and weave these ideas into my essay. So as long as you aren't using AI tools to write or rewrite any part of your essay, then you should be perfectly fine. Okay, back to past me. I've asked it to give me brief summaries on different pieces or different topics in my research project and so on. And so AI tools like ChatGPT or even Grammarly, they're really useful for this type of thing. Okay, so what are the limitations of AI? There's always a catch to something. And there are three key ones when it comes to research. The first one is bias. So AI is inherently going to be biased. AI is just like any other source, and there's going to be some bias in it, and you should be aware of that. And to ensure you don't fall into the trap of believing any bias it may have, you need to make sure that you think critically. So if you think critically about what it says, then you can try and identify whether anything it's saying feels a bit off. And if it does, always make sure to double check what it says by looking at other reputable sources online. The second limitation is misinformation. Sometimes AI can just make things up. A lot of the time, though, some of these AI tools will give you a link to a research paper where you can double check and verify what AI has told you. And that way you can just ensure that what it says is correct. But it won't always be correct, and so you need to think critically to ensure that whenever you see something that might not be correct, that you double check it to make sure you will know what the correct answer is. And finally, AI has a lack of understanding of contextual information. So sometimes it may not have all the bits of information you might have. That's why when you write your AI prompt, make sure to include things like, I'm writing an essay that's this long on this topic. I've written this much of the essay, and so on. But AI will not have all of the same information you do. You will always know more about the context and the situation you're in. So again, think critically about how you use AI and what AI tells you. And this is the key theme. AI can really help you do things, but it can't do everything for you, and it's not really good at doing everything. So it's still up to you. It's still your project. AI is just a tool to help you do your project better and faster. So when using AI, treat it like any other tool or any other source, and make sure you always think critically when using it. But it is great. And here are some specific tools that we covered today. So ChatGPT is good for a lot of things. Elicit is a bit more specialized and it's good for searching existing papers or summarizing them. Perplexity does something very similar. It's just that Perplexity is a bit more mature. And so that means it's less likely to be wrong or have inaccuracies. And finally, Grammarly is really good for reviewing your essay and rewriting certain parts of the essay that you may not like. So, just before I end, I would say most of these tools are for people who are 13 plus. So hopefully all of you here are 13 plus. And most of them also require parental permission. So just check with your parents beforehand to make sure they're okay with you using these tools. Right, so hopefully you find that useful and informative. And you can go away, try experiment with AI, see if you like it, give it a shot, and good luck with your research project. Thank you.